Hello, Collateral Gaming listeners. Chazzle Dazzle here from the Trial by Error Variety Show podcast. I just wanted to take a few seconds to invite you guys over to what we do. No, it's not video games, but we do invite really awesome and unique bands from all over the world. We dig deep into their souls and find really cool stories to tell you, and there's tons of music every week, so subscribe to us wherever you subscribe to your podcast. We look forward to having you.
I'm Ashley Chancellor.
I'm Dakota Chancellor.
I'm Megan Gardner.
And I'm Alan Gomez.
This is Collateral Gaming. Welcome to Collateral Gaming, the only video game podcast that matters, where we focus on good games, bad games, and everything else in between in the world of gaming. We are podcasting straight from San Antonio, Texas, and yes, my friends, we are a 420 friendly podcast. So whatever you have, smoke it if you've got it. We have a couple of our previous guests back. That's Megan and Alan.
Hey, you guys.
What up?
And I think they're in it for the full ride. I think they're
so.
right. Is that right, guys?
Yeah, we're Facebook official, girl.
Yeah,
All right, there we go.
We're Facebook
we're
official,
in it to win it.
and thus the fellowship of the Collateral Gaming was formed.
There you go.
So yeah, no, it's exciting. You may notice we're Skyping on this episode. We're actually FaceTiming. Dakota and I are in the studio. Megan and Alan are over at their house.
It's all due to some very serious pandemic that we recently had to deal with.
Exactly. We're quarantining. We're social distancing. We are doing
Our due diligence.
our due diligence. Exactly.
There you
The
go.
appropriate thing, the responsible thing. That's what I was going to say.
Being respectable citizens, you know.
Yeah, with COVID-19 going around, I mean, you can't be safe enough.
Right. And so you can't judge our audio quality because it's going to be shit, but it doesn't matter because we're, safe distancing.
Yeah, right. I think people understand. Anyway, yeah, we don't have Bo here, so he's not even here to really like mix our audio live. So our audio might be janky. I don't know.
We don't even care.
Fuck it. But yeah, no, we've got a lot of cool things to talk about today. We're not just going to sit here and talk about coronavirus. There's plenty of that going around. I mean, one thing that it kind of has had an impact on, though, and I do want to touch on, is the impact that the coronavirus has had on gamers, which kind of leads us into our next segment, right?
Yeah, that will be our Collateral Gaming News. So, what news do we have in the world of gaming? Well, as previously mentioned, we are in quarantine. We have a COVID-19 going on. So, kind of what's going on with that, I think it's honestly giving gamers some more time to return to their craft, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think this is a good time for gamers to catch up on those I want to games that are just sitting on the shelf getting dusty. And to clean and organize, this is your time to, make your station or, your entertainment center, whatever you've got, make it what you want it to be, make your space, set yourself up for after quarantine, after this craziness goes down,
And
Yeah.
definitely progress on the games that you've always wanted to progress on that you just haven't really had time to catch up on.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, not everyone is able to work right now, and that sucks. It's hard to make bills fit, but I know, like, the authorities are working on that. But you know what? We're essential, right, Dakota?
We are.
We're essential.
Absolutely.
So that's why we're doing our job straight from home.
There it is. And you have to listen to us because you have nothing else better to do with your lives right now. You're all quarantining, and if you don't listen to us, then that's your problem.
We're doing our part, okay?
Exactly.
We're providing content for y'all to listen to during this boredom season. I think it's a good time for gamers not only to get more time to game, which given us a lot more time to game,
Right, a lot.
Maybe start a podcast, start streaming, start doing Let's Plays. I mean, that's something that we're gonna kind of start leading into, right, guys?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, yeah. It's long overdue, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, the other thing that's unfortunate, an unfortunate consequence of, shutdown. But obviously what we need to do is that E3 was canceled.
Right, yeah. E3, a lot of things were canceled, not just in the gaming world, but in just the real world. So that E3 had to be canceled. I mean, that was just had to.
There's too many people in one place.
There's too many people, and you have to social distance, and there's...
Yeah.
And that's not the worst of it, right?
No.
Also, they're going to be delaying The Last of Us 2 indefinitely. I know that they're kind of trying to send everybody home. They're trying to just do their due diligence to make sure that they keep everybody safe. They're canceling E3. And then I've heard that a lot of gamers' favorite shows as well are being delayed or canceled, and just they're shutting everything down.
Yeah, we got to keep our devs safe out there, because without our devs, we're just going to be playing
The same
boiled
old
hot
game.
pots of shit, really.
Yeah, right.
Well, I hope there's some devs, maybe some indie devs out there who can work from home and, maybe make a little bit of money back during this time. And yeah, we'll have better games. Okay, we will have better games. Movies too. I mean, we've had a few canceled movies.
Yeah, we've had the unfortunate pushback of the entire MCU.
Yeah.
The entire now upcoming MCU movies are being pushed back to their next time slot. So, Black Widow was pushed to the time slot that I believe. What was to come after Black Widow? What was it?
Mando, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that took its time slot, and everything in between has followed in suit.
It's Black Widow and then the Eternals.
The Eternals. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I don't know. But yeah, that it's sad, but at the same time, I think it's going to give our developers and our filmmakers more time to, finish the products. So in the end, it may be good, and we're happy that they're not putting themselves and other people at risk.
Right.
Yeah.
On a lighter note, another major announcement was the full specs of the Xbox Series X and the PS5.
Right.
Honestly, I'm a PlayStation guy, but I think objectively the Xbox is the better console when it comes to hardware. But I'm probably still gonna get a PS5 because of exclusives and their decision to focus on story-driven games
And graphics.
That's right. It's just like there's a lot of thought to put into that, because it's like, are you going to spend your money on something that's going to have better specs? Don't get me wrong, and you're going to have high processing, whatever it is. But then you go to your games that you can't play on that, like games like Horizon Zero Dawn and The Last of Us, games that you're not going to see on Xbox. And God of War, the new game that we are talking about today.
You like how we slid in there?
That's pretty good.
Yeah, alternatively, also, I mean, there are some Xbox games that I think are going to be good. I know we're going to be excited to get the Xbox. I mean, I'm definitely going to buy both regardless, because I'm not picky. Gaming is gaming, okay?
Oh, yeah, no, we'll definitely get both, I think. Just I'm going to get the PS5 first, I guess, because I can only afford one console at a time.
Yeah, right?
I'm going to buy them for each other, honestly. But
there you go.
I know Gears of War is a great one on the Xbox that I'm excited to see some more development on. I don't think they're done with that story. And also, they've got some other great exclusives that are coming out that I'm pretty excited for, and I hope we get to review those in the future as well.
Hell yeah. Yeah, no, we'll do it. And, if it requires us buying both consoles, we'll make sure it gets done, because we want to make sure that we talk about the games that we want to talk about. But yeah, as per mentioned earlier, God of War is going to be our focus this episode. That being the 2018 God of War released on PS4, not to be confused with the original game on the PlayStation 2. God of War was developed by SIE Santa Monica and published by Sony Interactive Entertainment. It's a continuation of the God of War franchise, not a reboot, but in itself kind of a soft reboot, because it's a huge new direction for the series when it comes to story and gameplay, which we'll talk about. Yeah, I mean, this game honestly blew me away. It's a masterpiece. And I'm not real familiar with the God of War franchise. I haven't played all the games, just bits and pieces.
Right, yeah. I saw you started the first God of War, didn't you?
Yeah, in preparation.
I've played the third one before, and I played this a long time ago, actually. And I remember not really enjoying it that much. And I know that was just in my opinion. I was young and didn't really play it much, so I don't know if it was a great game or not. But I absolutely enjoyed this one.
Yeah, and Megan, I believe that you said you have played, the God of War, right?
Yes, and I actually did a couple years ago pick up God of War 3 again, and I definitely think this is totally left field. And I'm enjoying it. I loved it. It was something that I really, really wanted to see as a God of War fan, because I personally love Kratos just as a character himself because of his just brutal, blunt being, the way that he is.
Yeah.
I kind of enjoy the fact that we all have like me personally, I've never played any of them.
Right.
And you guys played, and Dakota played the other. And,
Yeah.
you know, you played like a couple of them, like a fan throughout the series, but kind
Yeah,
of played a couple.
Right.
Played,
I totally remember completing and finishing 3. Like, I don't know why, but I played through the entirety of the 3rd game, and I don't know why I played that one game. I didn't play either of them, but I remember not liking it. And I don't know if it was because it was hard or if it was just because it was just not my play kind of game. But now I could see myself going into that and maybe liking that. So I don't know.
Yeah, I'll be honest, like I pretty much just played bits and pieces for this podcast. Like I started God of War 1. I'd played a little bit of God of War 3 before, and I started that one again just to kind of get a feel for it. I want to say it's probably not up my alley as much, but I mean, I would definitely go through the games. I'm not probably not, don't see myself launching into that right now. Unless, you know, kind of relates to the podcast or something. But honestly, though, God of War 2018 has me desperately wanting more. Like, I'm ready for the sequel. This game kind of just drastically changed. It's done what a lot of games have done recently. You know, and this is kind of a trend I'm seeing. Is a lot of games are kind of essentially soft rebooting and moving to like an open world format. And also and changing, you know, series staples. Zelda did it. Assassin's Creed did it. Mario did it, you know, to an extent with Odyssey. That's a trend I see going on. God of War's is not excluded from that. Cory Barlog, I believe, the director, has gone on record saying that it's not open world. But we'll talk about that in a minute. But we have an argument, a case that it really is. Yeah. But I guess what I kind of wanted to get out here is that God of War was something that a lot of fans, and I looked this up, you know, kind of online and kind of got a feel in the community, but a lot of fans were kind of tired of it. A lot of people who had played through all the interests of the series had felt, you know, I really don't need another God of War. It's the same thing. Kratos is the same character. People didn't realize, just give it a little bit of time. We had the last God of War 3 game back in like 2010, I think. So up until now, we have 2018. That's 8 years between main series entries. You know, we're not talking about side entries and remasters.
It's a lot of time.
But they spent a lot of time. I think, honestly, they had probably given up for the time being. And then came back a few years later, started work on this. And honestly, I think I might have read somewhere that Barlog or maybe some of the other staff members had like families now, and that kind of influenced this tone change.
I think this is definitely something that we needed in the God of War franchise. A good, like, soft reboot, you know, but it's, like, still continuing on his story.
It's in the same continuity, even though it's called God of War, the same as the first one. But supposedly it's taking the series to what they're considering the Norse era. And that's the first major difference you'll notice about God of War is that it takes place in Norse mythology rather than Greek mythology.
Right, leaving God of War 1, 2, and 3 all in his past. His Spartan rage and all that.
The original Kratos behind. Like, as a fan of God of War originally and coming into this series, I was very skeptical, especially, you know, after God of War 3, you're like, oh my God, like, it's the same thing over and over again. Like, I got very bored with the series. I love the story of God of War 3. I loved, especially in the beginning, you know, you go straight into action. It's not just, you know, oh, well, you know, story cut. Like, you go straight into combat and you're escaping the hecatonkries. So for going from that to this, you know, kind of in the beginning, it seems slower. It seems different. It seems more mature. And it's a more mature Kratos coming into it, was something very interesting for me. Because whenever y'all told me, you know, like, oh, yeah, we're going to do God of War, I was like, I haven't played this yet for a reason. And then getting into it, I was like, oh, shit, like, this is not the Kratos that I know.
Exactly. This isn't the Kratos that we know, and this is the Kratos that we needed. Because it was like he was wise, he was witty, he was funny. He got an old and he had a child, so he was able to give that fatherly wisdom. And boy, you know what I mean? Boy. I mean, it's perfect.
Boy.
The first thing you'll notice about God of War is that it's set in Norse mythology, right? The second thing you'll notice is that Kratos has a beard and a boy.
A beard and a boy.
I remember seeing the original trailer and I was like, Kratos is old, less angry, and he had another kid.
More.
What the hell is going on?
I know, it's wild.
It's probably been some like 100-odd years for Kratos.
Yeah.
You know?
It's been a long time. I mean, he's a god, you know. It did. I don't know how time factors for Kratos, especially in the series, but you can tell he's definitely come into his own and he's become the Kratos that he wanted to be.
Yeah, this game is definitely a game of redemption, and its central focus is you know, the relationship between Kratos and Boy. Can we just get it out of our systems right now? We just have to.
Yeah.
We got to do it. All right.
Just boy.
Boy.
Boy. I am a god boy.
Yes, that's one of the critical scenes of the game. I mean, that happens later on in the game, but I mean, it's one of those impactful moments.
Yeah. This game is very impactful. Definitely right from the beginning. Hits you right in the feels. You kind of see Kratos. If you know anything about his past, which I had enough background information, you know, he's covering up I know I'm motioning and we can't, the audience can't fucking see, but he's taking off he's putting on the bandages, I'm sorry, because he's trying to cover up his past. He wants to forget being, you know, the ghost of Sparta. And, you know, he's kind of left that life behind and he's taken on, you know, the fathership of Atreus. They're kind of at odds at the beginning of the story. They don't seem to, have as deep of a relationship as Atreus had with his mom. I guess there's always been some friction. Maybe Kratos is away. I don't know what the fuck he'd be doing, but
Right.
went out for a pack of cigarettes, never came back.
Like, more of a battle-ready warrior and not so much of a, parents figures. He's trying to be more of a general, so to speak, to his boy. You'll see as the progression plays out through the game, and we'll talk about that as well. It doesn't really coincide well with Atreus, and it kind of falls apart for Kratos, but Kratos is trying to still cling on to him being a
Spartan warrior.
A Spartan warrior and a general and a leader, and he's slowly becoming this father figure for his son, and he's trying to leave his Ghost of Sparta past behind, and it's not boding well. And it eventually works out well, but we'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, it was interesting to see, knowing nothing about the series, and then like doing some research and playing the game.
Yeah.
And like I said, I've never played any of them, so it was really interesting to see and see the character developments of both of them. Especially Kratos.
Yeah, I like also how he, especially in the beginning of the game when he's getting frustrated with Atreus, he's like, boy, you need to listen.
And then he calms himself down, right?
He looks at his arm and he grabs his bind. He's trying to, push so hard to let that go. And that's something that you kind of watch throughout the game. Like anytime you see him really get angry or get frustrated with Atreus, you see him kind of be like, no, Kratos. And he grabs his binds and he's like, okay, I'm not that man anymore. I need to let that go.
Yeah.
Which is something interesting for me personally, especially in the beginning of the game when he chops down the tree and Atreus is just asking all these questions, being a curious boy as he is. He's just like, ugh. And he looks at his arm. I was like, damn, that is not the Kratos I know. What is going on?
He's a lot more patient, 100 some odd years.
Whatever time has passed.
Yeah.
For him to grow a massive, beautiful beard.
I'm sure Freya had a lot to
not Freya.
Faye had a lot to influence him on that part as to becoming a father and not so much a blunt
warrior.
Force general warrior.
Which
right
is upsetting to me to see as to why we didn't get to meet this Faye, and I would love to meet this Faye person.
Oh, yeah.
Or should we say Lao Fei?
Lao Faye, there you go.
Lao Fei the Just.
Oh, that everything makes so much sense.
Yeah, she's
It's
alluded
wild.
to throughout the entire game. And one thing is at the end of the game, we'll just go right into spoilers. We're
Might
all
as
over the
well.
place here. So at the beginning of the game, at the end of the game, you kind of see the prophecies that are to come, and some pictures that Faye definitely had seen before depicting your adventure throughout the game. So she knew everything that was going to happen. The theory goes, I think you were talking about it earlier. The theory goes, that all those gold markings that you see in the game is actually Faye walking the same paths that Kratos and Atreus would later walk, which is mind blowing if if that's true.
I think she set it up for them. I think she was, something happened to her where she found out this information and she was like, okay, I have to think of every way I can help them because trouble is coming, especially, in the beginning when you chop down those trees, there's that border around
your
the
protection
family.
spell or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's the border around the family, and as you cut down the trees, the border starts to
protection
break.
spell breaks, and that's when
you meet the stranger.
Fucking asshole Balder, stranger, comes into play. Balder?
Yeah.
Balder.
Yeah.
Boulder.
Yeah.
Boulder.
Did you throw him like a fucking boulder?
Who is casted by, but motion picture and voice acted by Jeremy Davies.
Jeremy Davies, yeah. And he does a great job. I mean, that's a very convincing performance there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I backtracking just a little bit, but I really do like how, like, if that theory is true, Faye is with you every moment of the game. And it only gets better even when you kind of replay the game, which I kind of replayed the beginning a little bit. Dakota's doing New Game Plus in Give Me God of War mode.
It's miserable. It is. I mean, honestly, every enemy is a challenge. And I beat the game, and I beat the Valkyries. I beat everything, and I got pretty much everything highest level I could get. I did everything, getting all of the Odin's ravens. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that was about the only thing that I missed. And so I was pretty high level. And so I go to start this game, and I'm like, I fight the first few Draugrs, and I die. I'm like, okay, maybe I was just a fluke, I wasn't paying attention. So I try again, and I fight him like I would like an actual boss. And it's like, oh shit, I gotta pay attention to the way you're fighting these guys, because normally you could just hack and slash them, but you can't now because they have so much damn health. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Give Me God of War mode is hard and borderline impossible without New Game Plus. Sorry, were you gonna say something?
I found quite refreshing was compared to the last game that we played, which was Jedi Fallen Order. I found quite refreshing that like you couldn't like there was boundaries. Like even if you crossed a log or jumped over something, you couldn't just fall to your death, which I found was a little bit easier, but also kind of frustrating at the same time. Because when you get, like Dakota said, you get into those boss fights, and you're rolling around doing goddamn barrel rolls all over the fucking place.
Yeah.
And, you can trap yourself and get fucking stuck, and it's kind of frustrating sometimes trying to dodge these attacks. You can't, block them or disrupt them like we could in Fallen Order. Those like you'll see like the red circles will come up, and they're unblockable attacks, kind of like Fallen Order, but you can't disrupt them. You just have to literally dodge and move out of the way, because if you don't, you're gonna get fucked up.
Like the first fight with Balder with all those fucking trees.
Yeah.
That got me. Time I was like, why I would try and guard, and then I'd get myself stuck on a tree, and then he'd do like a bunch of damage, and I'm just sitting there like, leave me alone, go away, I'm tired of your shit, stop.
Try and bring up your shield, nothing works. You literally have to dodge.
You have to dodge it. Yeah.
You're gonna get fucked, and if you get fucked, well, we're just gonna get frustrated and just rage quit and break our screen.
Right. It's very much you have to your defense is your best offense in most cases. And just like Jedi Fallen Order, they have the attacks that you cannot block, which you mentioned, and then the attacks that you can block, which not only can you block them, usually if you upgrade your skills later on, you can block and do another ability.
You can parry.
To parry and do damage to it, which is fantastic.
Yeah. I found Atreus is very, very useful. If you do not utilize Atreus, you are going to get stuck and frustrated 100%.
Absolutely. He is your greatest ally in this case. He is very important. Just spam that square, dude. Just spam it.
That's my favorite gameplay mechanic, the boy mechanic.
Just because he can't hunt the deer doesn't mean he can't, throw out that stampede effect of his arrows, his light arrows and his electric arrows, and get those enemies down to where you need them.
Exactly, because he doesn't have to do a damn thing. He just shoots and it does it.
Yeah, and even while like Kratos is taking damage or is stuck in a combo or mid combo, whatever Kratos is doing, Atreus can still fire those arrows.
Right.
Which is, what makes the boy mechanic. It also kind of brings the story together in a way, because in a sense you're playing as Kratos and Atreus. You have a dedicated boy button, the square button. Mm-hmm. So you're kind of playing as both of them at the same time. And this game, like The Last of Us, I think, kind of brings that idea of a cooperative adventure, but still single player.
Right.
But you have a companion, the entire game. Seems like a game that could be, multiplayer, but...
that's Ratchet and Clank or Jack and Daxter. You have to utilize your companion to the fullest effect to get progression through the game and to beat your bosses. Because I found myself dodging nonstop attacks from the boss, and I had to completely utilize Atreus because, you know, he's an NPC. He can't die, but Kratos can while you're playing anyways. And I used Atreus fully 100% to take all the aggro away from Kratos to defeat my enemies. And it was really tough sometimes. It was just a little bit more refreshing. I mean, it was just as tough as some of the other games that we played and reviewed. It was just as tough, but it was refreshing to, you know, use an NPC that's on our side to help us take that aggro away to try and, you know, clear these missions and progress forward.
Right.
Yeah. God of War is definitely a difficult game, even on the regular difficulties.
It is.
Oh, God.
And
Always have been, though.
if you're used to the God of War style in the previous games, you're going to have to, at least for the first chunk of the game, you know, readjust your fighting style, because Kratos goes from the Blades of Chaos or the Blades of Athena to the Leviathan Axe.
Which is hands down the best weapon in the game.
You can get the Blades of
Yeah.
Chaos. You get, I mean, not like you can. You do. You get the Blades of Chaos later in the game. It's kind of a huge reveal. It's a cool thing, but you still end up having to use both weapons in conjunctions because some enemies are weak against the axe, frost power, and some enemies are weak against the blades, fire or burn power.
And then at some point you just get to the point where you're using all 4 of your runes, because you get 2 runes in each weapon, and so that you just spam that on every enemy and you're saved. And by the time you come back to the other weapon, you've got your runes again if you have low cooldown. I mean, it's perfect.
Yeah, we definitely in game you learn to just spam your runes, spam your axe runes. Okay, switch, spam your blades runes. Okay, now your axe runes are back.
Right. This is
Rinse
like
and repeat.
I don't know. I get so many vibes of different games in this game. It's like when you brought up The Last of Us, I just thought about it. Like it's like it's like The Last of Us, but like Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order because of like the attack style, you know. But it's also like, I don't know, like Dungeon Warriors, because you're just fucking up enemies all the time. It feels like you're just a god, you know. But you're not really destroying as many enemies. You're just more like this overpowered motherfucker.
Yeah. No, definitely.
Oh, there do I see my mother. Oh, there do I see my father. Oh, there do they call to me. Oh, there do they call to me. Oh, there do they call to me.
That bow's a little big for you, isn't it?
My mother made it for me. Said I'd grow into it.
Find your way home. You are free.
We're taking our ashes to the highest peak in the realms.
Ashes?
It was our last wish.
Where must we go?
To a realm beyond your own.
There's only one person who can get you where you need to go. They call me Mimir, smartest man alive. First, you need to cut off my head.
Wait, what?
That axe you got. You gotta handle her special.
I know you're a god. Not of this realm, but there's no mistaking it. He doesn't know, does he? About your true nature? Or his own?
The longer you wait, the more damage you do. He will resent you, and you may lose him forever.
You're next! I'll rip your head off!
There are consequences to killing a god.
Why? How do you know? How do you know?
Power of this weapon, any weapon, comes from here. But only when tempered by this. By discipline. The self-control of the one who wields it. Open the door! We need your help!
This is no ordinary illness. The boy's true nature, your true nature, fights within him.
So I'm a man now. Like you?
No. We are not men. We are more than that. The responsibility is far greater.
kill something that big?
Yeah, there's a great sense of accomplishment. The game is hard on its own, but whenever you do master it, there's this finesse. Kind of like you guys said, we keep comparing it to our last game, Jedi Fallen Order, but it kind of has that same feel. And
It does. Like with BD and everything, like how you have that companion with you.
You're right.
And I brought it up in the last podcast, and I'm bringing it up again because it's a big game of example, especially for gamers. I mean, it's a legendary fucking game. It reminds me of using a follower as bait in Skyrim. Just to kind of help you get through the game. And also, as a player, I mean, not necessarily alone, but you're not fighting through this fight alone. You're going with your boy. You're going, you're not just, oh, well, I'm fucking like, what's his name? Isaac in Dead Space. He's alone. He's completely alone. Goes out of his mind. It's nice to have a companion to go through your story with you.
It is. It's important to have that, and important to have that dialogue as well, not just with enemies, but having that dialogue with someone else, like a friend, someone with you who to travel, but one that you don't actually need another character to control, in which, in this case, you actually do control him.
You do. And yeah, there's a lot of cool mechanics with that, and some puzzles that require you and Boy. And I kind of like a lot of the Leviathan Axe puzzles. Where
those are just some of the best. I think the puzzle solving is one of the things I also really just enjoyed about this, because it wasn't, I wouldn't say they're usually too difficult. There are a few difficult ones, like getting all the fucking runes for some of those chests were pretty difficult, not gonna lie.
Yeah,
I just couldn't find them.
Oh my goodness, the bells, throwing your axe, timing everything.
Really? See, I didn't have the timing problem. Those were easy for me.
That was hard for me.
My problem was finding the damn seals that were hidden everywhere. Like, I went pretty much found every chest in the game, and I just had so much trouble finding those hidden seals.
That's when I had to consult a walkthrough maybe once or twice to find, some of those seals on the Nornir chests.
Yeah, like finding those things, runes, finding the bells, timing everything. Like, I spent like a good 30 minutes one time trying to find one of them.
Yeah, see, you haven't even been to Niflheim yet.
Niflheim, okay.
We tried to get through, just the main storyline of the game, just because we thought that especially this game throws you another left, field kind of thing. The game, says keep exploring. That's not something that I've experienced personally before.
Right.
I know, like in Zelda Twilight Princess, you can kind of go back into the game a little bit and run around and make enemies and go play around, but this is an actual game where it encourages you to explore more.
Right, and this is one of those games that it's like I said earlier, it's not open world, but it is. It's open world in fact in which you can explore and go to different places, and it's open.
I would say concept. Because it almost has the concept of an open world, but it still has a pretty linear story.
Like restrictions and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And to kind of piggyback off of what you guys are saying is that, yes, the majority of the game you do have control over Atreus and everything like that, but there's a certain point where you hit a story like mode, a story chapter, and you complete that, and then Atreus just turns into a fucking asshole.
Yes,
and
I remember that.
It upset us, like mostly Megan over here. It upset her so much. She's like, I can't deal with his bullshit right now. We're going to have to go to bed and come back the next day.
I know.
And try to rest through this because I'm so sick of him talking back to Kratos.
Oh, it's so bad. And it foreshadows it too. You know it's coming. This evil this evil Atreus is coming. You're like, fuck, he's turning into his dad. He's turning into a god. He's getting pompous, his little piece of shit. Like, I want to knock his ass out. It's bad.
Bad. I was
so ready to knock his ass
out.
out.
I was bright red. Like, I was like, why is he being like this? He needs to understand that he's a god, but it's not just, being like the other fucking gods. What's he going to do? Become the next Odin? And Alan literally took the controller away from me. He was like, you're going to snap your controller in half. I was so mad. I was like, how dare this son disrespect his father after everything he's done for him? I was so mad.
Oh, no, I agree. As soon as Atreus finds out he's a god, which is, like, I gotta say, like, the best scene in the entire thing is when Kratos reveals his past, a little bit, not all of it, but he says, he reveals his nature. He says, I'm a god boy. And that's an empowering moment, but, not that long thereafter, Atreus becomes a little prick because he gets overconfident, but it's part of the story.
Oh yeah,
And
it plays a major role in the story and who Atreus is, and I think a little foreshadowing who he becomes to be.
Yeah.
Maybe because supposedly he is Loki. Is his was the name.
Yeah.
Loki is the name that his mother, who was a frost giant, a Jotun, Lao Fei, gave to him. And you don't find that out until the very end of the game. It's one of the big end reveals. Yeah, that's really quite a thing because we think of Loki, we think of the god of mischief. He's mentioned in obviously the MCU. You've got or the Marvel universe. Thor, brother of Thor, in that universe, but not in the mythology and not in this game. Loki is mentioned in The Mask. I know.
So he is right. So he is of 3 different origins. He's got your Jotun, so he's part giant, he's part human, and he's also part god.
Yes.
And it's crazy. You got this demigod sort of Jotun thing coming on. That's where it comes from. Of the story of Loki, at least human and Jotun.
Yeah, so like Loki from the Marvel universe, I don't know if that's like Loki from mythology, but I'd be willing to bet yes because we saw the commonality here. But the idea that he's part Jotun, or actually in the Marvel universe, he's full Jotun.
All right.
But Odin, raises him as Asgardian.
Yeah, I think that
Which is
I
part
think
God.
that of course there is going to be some depiction because it's not following mythology per se. This is Kratos's and Faye's boy. So it's a little bit different. I think that in progression, if there is another game, I think that the God of War devs are going to make their own story of their own Loki that kind of follows mythology, but also follows a little bit of a path of Kratos. Because he is Kratos' son, So I think that he's going to teach him, you're not the man that you have to be prophesied to be, and I think that could eventually become the end of Kratos.
Yeah,
right.
I think there's like foreshadowing that's gonna because we saw at the end there when they're going up the stairs in Jotunheim and what's his name? Atreus. He touches the wall and it crumbles and it shows all the carved out depictions and the prophecy of them two. And at the end there, Atreus doesn't see it, but Kratos does. And then Atreus holding Kratos in his arms, it looks like he's dead or dying or some form of...
Right.
Like
it's
that.
a lot of foreshadowing for a new game. They give us multiple points. Not only is there a post-credit scene, but there's also many points in the game where they do depict that there is going to be a sequel to this. There is going to be more.
Yeah.
And we are absolutely certain. I mean, I've already seen... I'm pretty sure Freya, who was a companion for a good portion of this game, ends up becoming against you because you and Baldur fight and you end up, fucking Baldur up and killing his ass.
Yeah,
And
but
so
fuck Baldur.
Fuck Baldur. But so Freya at that point, of course, being the mother that she is, she defies that and was during the entire battle fucking with you both because they didn't want you to fight with each other. But anyway, they don't like each other anymore, and so she's probably gonna end up being some kind of I don't know if she's gonna be the main villain of the next game.
No, I think the villains of the next game are going to be the Norse gods.
But yeah, it's just gonna be the Norse gods in general, really.
And Kratos is going to once again be forced to basically kill the Norse pantheon, I think. But instead of on a quest of vengeance, it's going to be just a matter of circumstance of the situation and him and Atreus together. I think because we have this theme of this, and it's expressed in this game. This idea that sons kill their fathers, and it repeats itself in Greek mythology for sure. And there's kind of that hint that. Like you said, the cave paintings almost seem to suggest that Atreus might kill Kratos, and
it's going to be a matter of circumstance. I think really, Atreus is going to be forced to have to kill his father, or
it's discussed.
Right,
top of the mountain, and Atreus had shot his own father with the electric arrow, or at least electric. And we were like, "What the fuck?" Dude?
Right,
I disagree actually.
Yeah,
because if you remember in that scene with Freya. She sits there and holds Baldur, and she watches Kratos crumble to be this vulnerable character, and he's talking to his son saying, "Boy, we are not going to repeat this."
Well, he says this cycle will end.
Yes,
and he fucking kills Baldur.
So I agree with you. Yes, I think that and I was trying to, I guess, say that, but I think that the cycle will end. And that Kratos will end up laying his life down. I think
there you go, that's
for
smart.
Atreus, giving his life voluntarily, and then from then on, moving into probably the next era, Atreus becomes the focus of the.
I think they're gonna get
series.
3 games out of this, though.
I don't think Freya is going to become an enemy because she watched Kratos talk to him and say, you know, like, this is not the man, this is not the gods we're going to be. We're going to be, you know, good, honest gods. You know, we're not going to be these pompous, you know, assholes like the Aether are. Yeah, like Zeus was, you know, like Odin is. And
they leave
Freya
it a mystery. They do.
conversation, and you can see her demeanor softens in the background, and her and Kratos, it's a very subtle part, but you see her and Kratos nod at each other like they always do. So they come to an agreement, and I think she starts to understand, like, okay, I think Baldur, with this scene, I think this had to be done.
Right.
Well,
but at the same time, if you go back to the witch's hut, actually, Mimir will say something. It's kind of funny, and it is not necessarily a game changer, but it's another line, something along the lines of, you know, what is she doing in there? And she's like, oh, probably planning your demise or some shit.
Yeah, Freya, I mean, okay, we have that tenderness. We have her become like a really awesome character that we love. You know, like you said.
But they leave
really
it
connect,
ambiguous at the game. Really, at the end.
Well, I don't know. At the end, she says, like, I will rain every terror upon you. And I think, personally, and I think this would be the worst twist, you know, in the worst way, would be that because Kratos killed her son, she's going to go after Atreus, even though, and it'll be heartbreaking for him because he and her really developed a bond, more so. But there was that moment of acknowledgement with between Kratos and Freya, but Freya and Atreus really got along, and so it's going to be strange for him to have to overcome her as an enemy at some point. Maybe she won't stay an enemy, but she's going to be an enemy for, you know.
That's
and
what
I think she may want to pursue that kind of justice and go after Atreus. But
I think that we will fight her, but she's not going to be the main protagonist
right.
of the next series. I think we will fight her and maybe make amends, or we're not going to kill her for sure.
Nah, it's going to be Thor, and then game 3 is going to be Odin.
She'll be a secondary antagonist.
Yeah.
I think she'll kind of be aggravated still, but I think she'll come to her senses because Freya is very understanding, and the whole time that they were in that scene, Kratos and Atreus were defending Freya, and she once they stopped everything, once the fighting finished, she understood it. And she saw that Kratos and Atreus were fighting for her. I think that there's going to be a disagreement, kind of like with Brock and Sindri kind of thing, where they have this time of disagreement. But I think they're really going to have it develop in their relationship because Kratos and Freya, you know, being his parents, I think they have that mutual bond. And I think that Freya will become, you know, definitely a better motherly figure. I wouldn't say better because I'm sure that Faye was a great mother. But
I'm sure she might use that against him a little bit.
Yeah.
To try and turn Atreus against him. But
right.
They'll all come to their senses and be friends again. But I think you definitely will at least fight her at least once.
Maybe.
And you know, then everything will just kind of smooth out between them. And you'll see more progression in the next game towards their next goal.
Well,
yeah, it might be like in the MCU, kind of how they're all fighting against each other in Infinity Wars, and you know they're very angry with each other, and then they come together for this
Infinity War,
Civil War.
Civil War. I was thinking war, but I think they're gonna kind of have a difference and battle each other, kind of like Tony and Cap do, and kind of come to an understanding with each other. Now that y'all kind of speak of it, I do kind of see,
at least one battle.
I see a battle where it comes to a cease.
Well, right, and the beauty of this game, the beauty of this series is well, I guess it's just this game in general, is the speculation that we can get and how far we can go into believing what's going to come because we're so hyped. Because this game brought a lot of hype, and you wanted to keep playing this game. I couldn't stop.
Oh, for sure.
Like I started, and I was so glad we were in this quarantine because I did not want to stop. I played this game like a week.
I was hooked.
Like a week.
It was like Fallen Order. It just took me in, and I just was in for the narrative. And the story was amazing. I mean, we had amazing performances. For the first time, you know, Terrence C. Carson has been replaced. He's previously did the voice performance of Kratos. Now we have Christopher Judge. He's actually known from Stargate SG-1.
Yeah, I remember him. He's the black guy from SG-1. Yes, the gold on his forehead.
And he does the voice and motion capture performance. Now the reason for this was that he actually had just all this chemistry with Sonny Selijic, you know, the voice and motion capture performance for Atreus, that it just worked.
Right.
And not only that, but I think they knew that they needed to replace the actor because they were going for the motion capture and they needed a bigger guy.
They needed, right.
And they wanted a different Kratos. A Kratos that's just a different person, and having a different voice kind of conveys that because
I think it was time for that.
I don't know if Carson would have fit in this game. And he was a great voice actor for Ragey Kratos, but it's really difficult to imagine him doing this just perfect balance that Judge does. Is just like between, the held back rage but control and him being a redeeming character.
Yeah, the mature kind of the Kratos that we're coming to see. This developed man that's
right, the badass motherfucker.
That's really, the differences between, after all of his consequences. I mean, all of his consequences are played out. He has completely destroyed everything that he's known, and he's jumping into this new realm. And he has, a new family. And I think it's Kratos is kind of like coming to age story, but in his own way. Because especially, I know I keep touching on this, but it's just because they're so different. God of War 3 was just this, it was a coming to an end for that series, and I felt it. And I was really, really worried about this new game because I was like, Kratos' story seems done. He's done everything that he wanted to do. So watching him kind of mature into this older gentleman that has an understanding and a depth is really, really intriguing, and it captures you. Like, you feel for Kratos.
Right.
Like
He goes
to feel for him.
He goes from a static character to a dynamic character. A character that was static for 7 games, including the side ones.
Right. From the old games to this game, what differences do we see? Like not just in story, but
story and
gameplay, right? Because you've got your you've got your over the shoulder the third person camera view, which you mentioned. I don't know if you talked about it or not. We talked about it earlier.
Yeah, every previous God of War game had the fixed cinematic camera,
right,
which worked for those games, but now they've switched to the more traditional over-the-shoulder third-person camera, which helps the player. It's a better format for this more open-world approach that they're going.
Better, what you call it? Format.
Yeah, it doesn't feel kind of the original God of War series kind of had its own arcade kind of feel.
Yeah.
In its own storytelling way, I think that it brought its own involvement. It's not as arcade anymore, especially and I think that's my biggest memory of God of War 3 is fighting, the fates, the final fates, and doing, the hexhungaries, and, finally getting, done with Athena and Zeus. I might as well call him Athena.
Warrior Prince.
Watching, it go from this arcade oh, let me use my blade to I'm going to throw this fucking axe to your forehead and freeze you.
Right.
It evolved into this own open, I'm not going to say open world because I think it's a different concept. I'm going to call it open concept because it feels a lot different.
It goes until just straight, your t-shirt, they can't see, but it goes straight from Panic at the Disco to Coheed Cambria. Good eye sniper, and then go straight back to just swinging blades. And I'm just like, all right, I'm feeling it.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a case for it. I guess maybe not quite open world per se, but it's more than just open, because when I think open or open map, I think like traditional Zelda games. I think like Fallen Order. This game has that feel to it where you have a more explorable world and you have multiple side quests in addition to the main quest. So in a sense, it's going in that direction. There's not quite enough side quests, I guess, to make it open world. I mean, the main quest definitely does have more of a focus than I think it naturally would in a more what's considered open world game. And also parts of it are linear. Like, one thing I really like about what the game does is it starts out completely linear, kind of introducing you to the concepts, getting you invested in the relationship between Kratos and Atreus, and then it opens up the map once you get to the Lake of Nine.
Yeah. And it doesn't just open up the map. You get to this point where you finish the game, and before you even, decide to to do New Game Plus, you already want to go back and unlock all the things that you know you left behind that you had to pass up.
All the Valkyries.
All the Valkyries.
All the realms.
All the realms. All the shit you have to do. Every single chest that you missed, because you saw a Helheim fucking vines over it, and you can't destroy them with the Blades of Chaos that you missed in the beginning. Right. So you want to go back and do all that. I think that makes it open world. Like the idea of wanting to go back through the map and re-explore, I have no reason to believe that it's not open world,
It definitely becomes an open world game post-story and has the opportunity for that.
Right.
It's
during...
like a limited world. Like, it's only open so much, and then we kind of, like, do all these side quests, and it folds right back into the main story, because these side quests really gauge the depth of the main storyline, especially just toting the boat around the 9 lakes and listening to
Mimir's Tales.
Yeah, Mimir's Tales are good.
Mimir, I love Mimir.
We wouldn't dock until Mimir was done telling his story.
Hell yeah. Hands down the most informational character in the game. I want to take him around all the places that I feel like I missed his information.
Like, I was almost kind of upset that we gave him his second eye back, because they kind of stopped telling these stories.
Yeah, I hated the realm. I whenever we would start teleporting, I teleported so many times that they just stopped talking in that area, because he said everything he needed to say about Odin and shit and all the gods. And it's kind of upsetting.
You know what is kind of cool in this game? Going to the 9 realms.
That is really cool.
Not all of them, though. And then the game developers let you know in the best way they could. They straight up told you, this realm will never be accessible. No DLC. They're probably saving it for the sequel, but you never go to Asgard, Vanaheim, or Svartalfheim. But you do get to, you obviously have Midgard. You have Alfheim.
And you secretly get to go to Jotunheim eventually.
You go to Jotunheim.
You got Helheim.
You've got Helheim, which is actually not one of the original. Hell is usually in Niflheim, but you've got Helheim.
Niflheim.
Svartalfheim actually is revealed in one of Mimir's off stories as Nidavellir. They're one and the same.
Right.
Because the 9 realms are never quite explicitly stated in the mythology, but they're guessed at. And then there's Niflheim and Muspelheim, which are kind of your more challenge-based ones that you're really going to go post-story.
Yeah, those are definitely post-story. They're difficult, but they're more of just, I guess, XP farming so you can do New Game Plus.
Yes. And Niflheim
literally actually more so just so you can beat the Valkyries, so that then you can do New Game Plus eventually.
They're both farming areas. You go to Niflheim, it's a maze, because I know you guys haven't explored this part yet. There's a maze that resets every time you go to it, so you can always go and kill the enemies and loot the chests. But the thing is you're constantly, it's a time limit. It's kind of like that in Ocarina of Time when you can only stay in Death Mountain for so long.
Right.
You have a time limit, and eventually it starts draining your health. So you gain armor that kind of combats that effect by harvesting the loot in that area.
Let being missed echoes.
And there's a fucking Valkyrie in there, too.
Right. And before, there's a shop you can go to, so Sindri's out there, so you can go talk to him. He helps you out, and you use him to buy loot, but you have to constantly keep going in, and eventually you can fight, of course, one of your Valkyries, which in turn finishes your side quest, because you got to kill all the Valkyries,
And then there's Muspelheim, which is a series of repeatable challenges, culminating in a Valkyrie, but they're like waves of enemies with like specific like rules.
Right.
To follow.
It's rules and stages. So you go throughout Muspelheim in different stages. You go up to this sword that looks kind of like Excalibur.
Yeah.
In the rock.
It's Surtur's sword, I think.
It is Surtur's sword?
Yeah, Surtur.
That's how you get Surtur's crest at the end. You can get a bunch of different things there. It's pretty cool.
I don't know about you guys, but it was so cool, like, knowing all these characters, because I don't know that much about Norse mythology, but I know about Thor in the MCU, and so it was really nice hearing all these names that, like, I knew about before,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no, I also kind of wanted to backpedal because this was a point that, we did want to talk about, and I know we talked about it pre-podcast.
Yeah.
Backpedaling a little bit. I felt that these side quests were their own little stories that they kind of integrated in, which I honestly loved. I found it very intriguing, and I loved how, it was like, oh, well, Mother would want us to free these dragons, and Kratos is just like, damn it, you're right, let's do it through it.
Yes.
So I think it's cool to, like, have these own little stories where you're like, oh, so this is this dragon, and having Mimir there too. You get to kind of experience this moment with that, where he tells the story of, what's his name, the one that has the cave.
Fafnir.
he tells the story of Fafnir while you're freeing this dragon.
Yes.
Right.
And souls, especially, the son with the father that had the dagger. You just have all these cool little stories underneath this big main story that kind of help build your relationship with your son Atreus, which I think is so cool.
It's absolutely important and necessary to this game and future games. I think that, while I was playing the game, side missions weren't very, very, I don't know, tedious for me. I didn't find them that way because I played throughout the game, and once I got to the Lake of Nine, I just wanted to explore. And in doing so, I just found myself finishing side quests, and I didn't realize that there was a side quest, actual function, until I had already beaten the game pretty much, and I had Valkyries, and Ash explained to me, "Well, go beat the Valkyries." I'm like, "What?" It's like, "Yeah, what? This is a different side mission? What?" That just didn't make sense to me because I had already just gone throughout and killed all the dragons. And so, in conclusion, it doesn't feel like a chore to do side missions.
Side quests are not a chore, and
they're not.
Like you said, Megan, they're an integral part of the story. There's a side to Kratos and Atreus' relationship that you see. It's like you guys said earlier, Kratos is influenced by Faye, and you can tell because there'll be moments where Kratos will do something, and it will admit, "I did this because your mother would."
Right.
You know what I'd like to see though is the story and the side missions that we did in this game may or may not affect the outcome of the next game.
It's good.
Yeah,
That's
kind of
important.
I was just saying Mass Effect, your actions and your character will carry on to the next one.
Like freeing the Rachni in Mass Effect, eventually they can become your allies, in the final battle.
I wonder if it does, or because I feel like this game wouldn't utilize that as much as a changing, more of as it expects you to do this, and it will change in the next game, because it expects you to do all that.
It's like the canon storyline is that they do. I don't see them taking that direction only because I know that God of War, the next God of War game, whatever they call it, God of War 2 again, or I think it's going to be God of War subtitle, personally.
Subtitle, right. It's about time.
I think that it's obviously going to probably be on PS5, so I don't know if they'll be able to carry over that, but that would be interesting if they did.
Right.
Yeah. Also, something that I was thinking about a little bit is you have Mimir with you this whole time, and Mimir is a storyteller. He's kind of like Jesper in The Witcher. He tells, stories of all these past gods. I think that could eventually, maybe, release Mimir somewhere, or, we construct him a body or something, It could be something down the road where, those little bits of side quests turn into the story that Mimir tells about you. Maybe something that we could see down the road, maybe, right. in a cutscene, or, something like that, where he's telling the story of these strangers, the strange ghosts of Sparta and, Loki, Atreus. And also something that I did want to bring up with Atreus' character is something that Kratos kind of touches on, is how Atreus got his name. I thought that was so cool, how he got his name from this warrior, and how, Kratos really brought in his past in his own way into his son.
Into his family life.
Yeah.
Well, I think, this game did a really beautiful job of explaining to the players that even haven't played, prior God of War games, that what has happened and what he comes from, so that what he is now. So you can even sympathize then, because like I said, none of us have played that many of those games except for you, Megan. And so because of that, we're able to know kind of what he's like, more so because we've learned it in this game. We could see, when he goes into the storeroom and he sees the vase with his picture on it,
And the moment when he gets the blades of chaos again,
of
and sees Athena, I think knowledge of the past games definitely enhances the experience, and my experience would probably be enhanced more if I'd played them through, but not necessary. I think this game does tell its own standalone story that you can get,
and it gives you enough information.
It's a good entry point.
It gives, it is, and it gives you enough information of the past games to know who he is now and what he's going to be.
I think it was really good to kind of watch that, because whenever he said, "I have to go home," it kind of threw me for a loop. I was like, are we traveling back to Sparta?
There? We're going back to Greece, to his home.
Yeah.
Oh,
He didn't know what and then I saw him touch his arm, which I wanted to bring this point up personally, just because I loved the way that the original trilogy was with the blade. I loved that fighting style. It really was. It felt very natural. And I love the way that they brought this in. And I knew that Kratos was going to leave most of his past behind, but that's a piece of him. It's not just, the blades anymore. It's a piece of Kratos. It's a piece of the Ghost of Sparta.
Yeah, and I never played any other one, so put all this way up through with just the axe, and then she's like, babe, check this shit out. And I'm like, what? And she just fucking give those blades a whirl. And I was like, holy shit.
It's great homage for me to the trilogy. And I actually disagree with you guys. I think that it was necessary. I think it's kind of Kratos finding his way to shake off his past. And he's, just like,
embrace it.
Yeah, he's embracing it and coming to terms with it. And he just literally says, Athena, get out of my head. He pushes her out. And I think that's his final way to be like, this is who I am. These are my blades, and you have no say in this anymore. You're dead. You're gone.
Ares is dead and gone. No one has control over me anymore.
I'm not your monster anymore, he says.
I am my own god of war. I killed the god of war. I am the god of war.
Yeah.
Yeah. It brings in this, like we've been saying, it brings in this new Kratos, this new god that's thrown himself into this new realm. And I love how he kind of just transitions and brings that kind of forward. And also just, I love the style of the blade. That's my favorite part, especially whenever he first takes them out and swings them. I literally screeched so loud I thought they were going to get a noise complaint on it. I was so excited.
Yeah, just fucking.
I was like, yes! I was so happy.
I also appreciated the RPG elements because you could upgrade the blades and then upgrade the axe and upgrade your armor by new armor. That's a kind of a first for the series, and also actual leveling up and perks.
Yeah, not just you, also Atreus and his weapon and his armor.
He has his own skill tree.
And it doesn't just take it and
you can put runes in his armor.
Yeah, you can enhance Atreus and it builds on the foundation that Faye built for him to become the warrior that he's supposed to be, which I love.
Yeah, I think that they're going to be going that ways. But yeah, I mean, overall, the graphics and the presentation of God of War I'm completely impressed. I thought the cinematics were gorgeous. I thought the environments of all the 9 realms were gorgeous. And the game itself was relatively smooth. I didn't really notice any glitches or issues with Fallen Order.
And it's hard to really talk about this game because there's a lot to unpack. I mean, especially now that I'm replaying the game in New Game Plus, there's even more that I have to realize, and it's like a whole nother game again.
I want to replay this.
It is, and seeing now you have a shield, for instance. Your shield you can change, and there's when you do New Game Plus, you get more
original shield. We thought we would get at least to see the original shield when we got the blades, but we didn't.
All right.
But also to bring up the World Serpent is very key to all of them. Honestly.
Oh yeah, Jormungandr, who is Loki's son, by the way, and it does work because they mention time travel.
Yep, multiple times.
He is sent back in time when he and Thor clash, so still possible. And they show the World Serpent coming out of Atreus' mouth or whatever.
Yeah, they show that.
So I think the Jormungandr, like in mythology, is going to be Loki's progeny.
I think so, especially just because the way, even when you're going through the lake, you always see the World Serpent watching Atreus.
Yes, always. He's always watching.
With Mimir, he's very attentive and watching Atreus. And the first time that you speak with him, he just is already understanding of what's going on. I think that
he speaks his language at one point too.
And I think that somehow, I think he's going to be an integral part in the next game. And also how quickly Atreus picked up his language. It's a dead tongue. Only Mimir knows it, as we know so far.
And we saw bits and pieces of him teaching Mimir some things that Mimir didn't even know.
Yeah.
What?
That ending moment where he speaks the ancient tongue, just out of nowhere.
Out of nowhere.
That boss battle, by the way, was amazing. I loved because this game doesn't really kind of do the quick time events like the original God of War does, but that boss battle was the closest it really gets, and I was blown away. I loved it. It's one of my top 5 favorite boss battles of all time, which we mentioned in our bonus round episode. I just cinematically, gameplay wise, I loved having to switch between the Leviathan X and the Blades of Chaos because to match and have that elemental weakness. Otherwise, he would be resistant. It was just an awesome boss fight.
Yep.
Yeah.
really was. It was. Yeah, go ahead, baby.
No, go ahead. I was like agreeing with you. Like it was definitely top 5 for me as well. It was just so beautiful. Like it was as a gamer, like watching that moment, I was like, I'm playing this right now.
As beautiful as it was also really satisfying to snap up in Baldur's neck.
Oh yeah, dude.
Yes.
The first time you do it, when you finally finish that battle, just in the beginning of the game, you break his neck. You're like, oh shit, that was satisfying as fuck. Is that what the rest of this game's gonna be like?
And then at the end, when he's weakened by the mistletoe, again, per mythology,
Right.
Baldur's only weakness is mistletoe. And you snap his neck. But I love how Kratos is willing to give him a second chance. You know what I mean? It's a very different Kratos. He's Baldur's trying to kill his own mother, Freya, and then Atreus and Kratos basically beat Baldur to a bloody pulp. He's weakened, and she tells him to stop, and he's like, okay, fine, I won't kill him. As long as you promise, don't hurt this woman, don't come after us again. And then Baldur goes right up, and she's willing to let him kill her.
Right.
But because I guess she thinks that that's the best thing that she can do for him. And Kratos says, no, the cycle ends here of, children killing their parents, and then just snaps Baldur's neck. And it's an awesome scene.
It really is. It's so beautiful. It's portrayed perfectly because it's like you said, the cycle is going to end. This is where it was going to go to.
Yeah, it just the cinematography and everything, just the graphics, everything it just works so well together. And you won't get that out of an Xbox game. I'm sad to say I'm an Xbox fan. But PlayStation really has the engine to capture this in this entirety of the series and the game and everything. It really just put all the pieces together and just like really helped us grasp everything.
Just the whole fight itself for me was it was so dynamic. Like that whole scene was it was a game within itself, honestly.
It was.
Just watching the dynamic of Freya, reanimating the giants and, just begging them to stop and begging them to stop. And she's hurting Baldur in the process. I don't know if y'all noticed that, but anytime she would have those flame attacks, it would hurt Baldur. She was hurting the son.
Right.
Yeah.
And it was so the compelling scene, and it was just so full of depth that we literally had to sit down and just set the controller down and stop playing for a second. I mean, we just had to capture that scene because
drink and just like appreciate
that scene. It was it was very intense. I started crying. I'm not even gonna lie to you. Like that was it was the scene in the hospital for The Last of Us for me. It was a tear-jerking scene.
Oh god, yes.
It was just one of those moments where you're like, oh my
what
god.
What the fuck is this really happening?
Crumble as a mother, and she's, she feels like, she's still, I think, with Baldur, her son, kind of captured in Odin's wrath a little bit, especially because what she did to him.
And what he did to her.
And what he did to her as well.
Right.
I think if
you listen to Mimir's stories in the boat, you will understand all of that.
Yeah, and I love that, that scene kind of brings an end, to Baldur's story, because I think it was Baldur's time, and I think he was so ready for it.
Right.
Yeah, and he was at that point, like, I think he would have rather died than continue existing. Interestingly enough, Baldur's death in Norse mythology signals, the beginning of Fimbulwinter, the 3-year winter, and then Ragnarok. And this game is it's the exact same thing. And in fact, Mimir mentions it because there's the prophecy. After you defeat Baldur and you go to Jotunheim, which is such a touching scene, and you come back and it's winter the rest of the game. Because it's the Fimbulwinter has started, and then there's that post-credit scene where you see Thor 3 years later come back. So I think the next game is definitely going to take place 3 years later. I think, unlike what that vision showed, I think Atreus is going to be a little bit older, and it's going to be very much more interesting. I think he's going to play a bigger role.
Right.
And I think we're going to learn more about his parentage. I think we're going to see more gods. Probably Thor will probably be, I guess, kind of the main antagonist. Probably because Thor is a dick in this game. As much as I hate to, to say it, Odin's a dick. If there's anything you learn from God of War, all gods are dicks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, me personally, I was surprised how we kicked both of those Aesir's ass.
Oh, Maggie and Modi.
Which were Thor's son killed one, and then eventually down the other line, Atreus,
killed him in cold blood.
Killed cold blood.
Yeah.
And that shadow later on in Helheim, but we were surprised at that, and then we didn't see Thor at all until after.
Yeah, any
Atreus'
repercussions.
dream.
I thought honestly we were gonna fight Thor in this game.
I thought so too. I was like, we were ready to just like fight. Well, we weren't ready, but we were anticipating.
You will in the
fighting
next
Thor.
one. You killed his
Yep.
sons.
Yeah.
You killed his
Next one's
sons.
definitely going to be a lot more gods and a lot more tough battles and a lot more Atreus.
Right.
Honestly, I kind of disagree with you guys because I feel like they're trying to make a different path. Especially something that I wanted to bring up was that mural of in Tyr's sacred temple, the mural with all of the signs in it, where you see that Tyr had traveled across all of these realms, and you see pieces of the ghost of Sparta.
Yeah.
You see his on the pot, and you also see some different characters as well. I think that there's more to just Atreus and Kratos, and I think Kratos was brought there for a reason, maybe by Faye, maybe by Tyr before his death. But you also do see hieroglyphics, and you also
Egyptian hieroglyphics.
Yeah, Egyptian hieroglyphics. And you also see in the corner, you can't quite see what the character is, and I think that's some foreshadowing. But in the bottom right corner, there is another character, because there's one in each corner. I think that there's going to be something brought up into that aspect as well. And I don't think the God of War series is necessarily going to be just killing gods, because I think they're trying to take a new direction. I think there might be the end of Odin, and possibly the end of Thor, but I don't think it's going to necessarily follow that linear path that Kratos did, because he wants to stop and end the cycle, like he's been saying.
He's going to stop like just needlessly killing gods.
I don't know though. It's called God of War for a reason. I mean,
But Tyr's the god of war, and
You are right.
Tyr was a god of peace, and I think Kratos is going to go in that pathway. There are some people who believe that Tyr is actually like a Kratos from the future sent to the past,
Right.
or something. I don't know about that. I think it would be kind of weird if he was like Mimir or something. I just out of left field. But
I don't think Tyr's dead. There is no fucking way. I honestly do not think.
There was a lot of foreshadowing and like evidence of Tyr, like his corpse, or you're helping out all those other spirits.
And you don't see anything like Mimir never tells you how he died.
Yeah.
I think he found a way to hide himself, maybe in the realm between realms, but I necessarily don't think he's dead.
Yeah.
I think he's going to come back. And I think that also, kind of backpedaling a little bit, I think that they're going to bring in, the greatest warriors of these other realms to bring Ragnarok.
Yes.
And I think is going to be a main part of that, because you see how much he's traveled. I mean, there's no way that they're not going to integrate that Egyptian glyph in there somehow. I think there's something with that.
And that mystery glyph you couldn't see.
Yes, I think there's definitely more to that mural that they're not telling us.
Right.
I definitely think that Tyr is dead.
I definitely agree with you. I do think that we're going to explore other cultures and other mythologies, Egyptian, Japanese. The series is definitely hinting that way. Actually, rumor has it, not rumor, I think this is confirmed. I mean, the original script for God of War 3 was going to bring both the Norse and Egyptian gods pitted against the Greek gods in the three-way deadlock. I think that we'll kind of get to see that vision play out.
That's what I'm thinking. In next series and series, it'll go years and years. That's what I'm thinking. It's gonna be like an MCU type style where we're gonna get like different sections. Right now, we're getting our Norse mythology. Eventually, we're gonna get our Egyptian.
Well, I think the series is it's gonna be a slow burn. It's gonna focus on Norse mythology with maybe some more hints to other cultures.
Right.
Maybe a direct cameo, and then the third game might be like the third game. If we have like a trilogy of in the Norse era, the third one would be where the other mythologies come in, and then I think the new era, personally, this is my theory, is going to be focused on Atreus as the main character in all cultures. There won't be just one specific era, like one specific mythology. He's going to be kind of involved in all of them.
I mean, like all the Greek gods are dead. Roman's a little bit too close for Greek, so I don't know if they'll portray on that.
Yeah, they're probably not going to pair on the Roman gods very much.
The Roman gods are the Greek gods.
Exactly.
So, but
I can see Atreus fighting, Ra and Anubis, and Horus, and all those gods, and then getting to the main. I don't know the name of their main, Odin or Zeus, but getting to him as well as that mystery one. Like I'm not too versed in Japanese mythology, and I'm not sure if they had too many or a lot, not too many, but like a lot of gods as such, so to speak, as Norse and
There are a lot of gods. There's I know the sun goddess Amaterasu and the moon god Tsukuyomi.
They had some, but is there enough to make a game out of?
Also, I think something that was interesting was that Tyr used the realm between realms to travel, so I don't think we're done with that.
I was laughing at the part where we were traveling in the realm between realms to get from one point of the map back to the main Brock's main shop, and he said specifically, "Do not veer off the path."
We didn't know what to do. We didn't know that there was a door on the other side.
First time traveling.
We all did it.
And we never saw the door, and eventually we saw that light door come up, and then before we got to that light door, I saw a ledge, and it said press X, and I was like, okay, so I pressed X, and we leaped off the edge and immediately died. And I was like,
we jump.
We jump. Are you sure? We jump.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was great. I'm glad that they put that in there. And you eventually use that at the end of the game. You leap off, but.
And I don't think we're done with it. I think that maybe there's like a higher kind of tier of gods that maybe Odin was trying to discover. Maybe he was trying to become the ruler of all realms. Maybe he was, trying to take Tyr's place as this explorer. And that's something that I kind of see foreshadowing too, because the game encourages you to explore. Maybe we're gonna, explore other realms and take counsel with these other gods. Maybe to end Odin. Maybe Odin is trying to
end all gods of gods and let humanity decide its own fate.
Yeah, maybe it's something to where the
break
gods
the
that
chains.
break the chains. Yeah. I don't think we're done with that, and I think maybe we could be exploring other realms to end the gods that like Kratos has said that need to be killed.
Right.
Yeah, we only self-defense, and then up until that point to where Atreus kills in cold blood, but we only kill to protect our own selves. We're not out there to just kill like Kratos used to.
Absolutely.
Kratos from his past in trying to employ that new, so to speak, discipline into his son and himself to say, we're not the bad ones. We're here to defend ourselves. We're just here to disperse your mother's ashes as she wished. And now we're being, deterred by all these other foreign, not foreign, but like all these other gods and, people to, not accomplish our task. And our task was, skewed because of that. And we're trying to, accomplish this one thing, and it's just not happening because of all this other nonsense. And we have to play to their rules because we're in their realm.
Right. And so all this can be segued into video games. I mean, they tell such a beautiful story. I mean, the story that can be told out of a video game that cannot be told into a movie is ridiculous.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we get with these side quests, these missions, just everything going on, and you've got your Witcher TV show, but I bet it doesn't compare anything like the game. You know what I mean?
There's another aspect to a game. It's like it can tell a story just as well as a movie, and even better because there's that extra little mile you can go and get another dimension.
You are the main character. You are controlling that character. You are controlling who you are, and so that is what makes video games so beautiful, and that is why we do these podcasts.
No, definitely. Yeah, I think we're going to kind of wrap it up a little bit here. We're hitting, we're running over the hour mark here, but upcoming, with Collateral Gaming, we are going to go ahead and do our 420 episode. It is 420 month, so we're celebrating all month long. But
all month,
we're doing our 420 episode on Mario Kart 8. That's going to be Dakota and I, and then coming forward, we're going to go ahead and reveal our next one. Megan and Alan are coming back for Tomb Raider 2013.
I'm excited for that one. Alan's never played this, so.
The last time I played Tomb Raider was the Triangle Titties in PS.
Triangle Titties, yes.
It's a great game. I remember falling in love with it. Just like this game, it just hooked me in, and I could not stop playing for a while. And I think I've played it at least twice over, and I've almost played all the way through it now. I'm going to probably, in preparation, play the Rise and Shadow a little bit because I haven't finished those. But yeah, we're going to be talking about Tomb Raider. We've got these guys coming back, hopefully in the flesh by that point. We'll see what's going on. Yeah, stay tuned for our 420 special on Mario Kart, and then our next episode on Tomb Raider.
If you're not following Collateral Gaming on social media already, we are on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. I keep up with them as best as I can. I could do a little bit better with the Twitter and stuff, but we're announce all of our news and whatnot and what's going on with our lives. We are also available wherever you get your podcasts at. We have Apple Podcasts, Spotify. We are part of Chill Lover Radio. Also, make sure you listen to Collateral Cinema. I don't have Bo here to plug his shit, but we're going to be doing our next episode on our movie podcast, Collateral Cinema, on Joker. That should be out actually before this one is, so stay tuned for that. We're also, if you haven't listened to the Collateral Gaming bonus round, that's a new segment we're doing. It's kind of replacing Collateral Gaming extras, and in a sense, we're going to have a more topical format. We have our first bonus round episode out already, and by the time I release this, we should have our second one out.
Yeah.
We'll be doing more like top 5 and 10 lists, random game reviews, and maybe focus on specific developers. We could throw indie game reviews in there, so stay tuned for that. We're going to start kind of releasing those in between our numbered episodes. So hopefully the idea is to have some kind of weekly or at least bi-weekly content of some kind. But other than that, we look forward to going in the future. And we're super stoked to have Megan and Alan on board the team now, right?
Woo!
Yeah.
We gotta pop some champagne when we can all not quarantine.
Pop bottles. Do kids say that, or is that 2000s?
I don't know. I know that you boys are definitely home during quarantine. I am not. But make sure to keep an eye out for the Twitch channel. We're going to be trying to stream a lot more, for sure. Definitely want to hang out with you guys and, not just listen to us, but hear us play and actually watch us play. I think that's something that'll definitely be cool to, do in the future with you guys. So,
if enough of you guys out here smashing the like buttons and subscribing, we can definitely get ourselves built up and recognized to, get a little bit of merch for you guys. It'd be really cool to see our name out there with you guys.
Smash that like button.
There you go. Smash that like button. Hit that subscribe. Hit that follow.
Yeah, no, this is all stuff that we talked about,
Right.
just now. But we are going to start getting some merch out. And Alan and Megan have expressed interest in the streaming route, particularly Alan. I know those, you're kind of more of a social gamer. Dakota is as well, actually. Dakota plays a lot of Apex, and you were playing Fortnite before that and Minecraft before that. So
yeah, I play a lot of crazy games.
I'm excited to see you guys kind of throw out, because I have no idea about streaming.
Yeah, me and Dakota will probably definitely collab out there
Oh, yeah.
and get our voices and our gameplay out there, and you can guys see us, play a lot of different Battle Royale modes and games and versions and whatever have you, and we'll get out there for you guys, and if you guys like our content and our banter, so to speak, we'll definitely put more out there for you guys.
Ash and I don't know. We'll probably try it out, and maybe in a few episodes, we'll see how it goes. I definitely wanted to stream, so I'm definitely, I'm excited to be, actually official now. So I'm definitely gonna try it out. Actually, we gotta commit ourselves, buddy.
Yeah.
Me and Megan together, so you'll definitely hear her in the background if you just see me and Dakota playing. You'll
Probably.
hear Megan and nail biting towards our our top 10 or top 3, top 5 of our battle royales.
I bite my thumb in your
Guys,
general direction.
We're just going to be playing a bunch of Mario Kart and getting ahead and kind of catching up on some things. So right now we're quarantined, so feel free to throw me a shout. I'd be happy to be part of a stream, at least right now. I'm not going to be busy at all, so definitely want to work on that. So can't thank you guys enough for jumping on board and expressing interest in that, because really I want to grow. I've always wanted to go in the Twitch direction. I just wasn't sure where to start. The other thing is we are doing our Patreon content and working on, retroactively some of our video podcasts. We do have, Dakota and I have been actually working hard in quarantine on Zelda Breath of the Wild. We've almost got that done. We'll release our Zelda CDI.
Yep.
And then we'll be doing a Let's Play commentary probably on Spider-Man. So hopefully soon we can get all those out. If you enjoy Collateral Gaming, please go hit us up on Patreon or wait until we have some content. And or you can donate now. Just we've got 3 tiers. We're going to have those Let's Play commentaries or exclusive to our patrons. So stay tuned for that. The very first one, Fable 3, is free. The first episode of each playthrough will be free. But other than that, guys, what are your final thoughts, Megan?
Oh, God. My final thoughts, this was a beautiful game. I loved the
Aesthetics.
Aesthetics were great. The graphics were fantastic. especially coming from the last game. I really fell in love with this story and this dynamic, this definite parent-child development, and their dynamic together, coming together as a family.
Their cohesiveness.
Yeah, I loved how they brought in the mythology. I love how in depth we got. And this was just honestly a great game for me, especially if you guys are God of War fans. Definitely check it out. It's something that you're not,
worth it.
Yeah, you're not gonna expect it. It's gonna throw you for a loop.
Oh, yeah.
And it's good. Definitely make sure to check it out. And
If you've been
really
on the fence, hopefully you haven't gotten this far in the podcast, but if you've been on the fence, just go play it before you listen to this.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Just
or
get
even
it.
we hope that we lead you in the direction. I know that for me, as a Kratos fan, I loved this development of this character, and I think if you're a fan of Kratos, you'll love it too.
Fuck yeah.
Absolutely.
What about you, Alan?
So my final thoughts are, well, number one, Dakota looks like he's working really hard on your social media, everything over there.
No, I'm thinking about this. I got the notes in front of me. I'm keeping the notes up.
Seriously though, my final thoughts. I've never really, being an outsider to this entire realm and to this entire gameplay and everything, I haven't played a PlayStation since PS2, and we're on 4, and we're almost on 5. So,
yeah,
getting into this level and seeing this and playing, a story mode game, which I'm really a big story mode guy, or even delved into this realm of this chapter of this game. Any of the backstory, I didn't know much about it at all. I had Megan over here teaching me a lot of things and schooling me, but going into it and playing it, it's really fun. The gameplay's fun. Like she said, to piggyback off of her, the graphics are great. You could, Xbox One and PS4, the graphics superior, of course. But it was really fun and refreshing to take a break from, just the typical, hey, are you online? I'm online, and just play something that was just so fun and just captivated your attention and your depth and knowledge. And it taught you a lot of things that you didn't know about a lot of these realms, especially of Norse mythology, and really just captivated your attention. And you just grown to these characters and see the development and everything. It was really refreshing, and I quite enjoyed it.
No, absolutely. I think that I agree completely. And I guess to conclude with my final thoughts, I feel as though this game it caught me by surprise. I came into it, I just finished Star Wars. I love Star Wars. Another one that it also kind of caught me by surprise. And so, I was done playing it, and I was still kind of feeling it. And I started playing God of War, and I was like, oh shit, this is actually kind of fun. I'm getting into this. And then you get to the point where it's there's so much to explore, so much to do, and you just want to keep going. And I'm already on New Game Plus. I still want to keep playing it. Yeah. It's kind of hard to pull me off this one.
Oh man, this game requires, it deserves multiple playthroughs. I honestly believe that. Yeah. Not only to go back in the story and pick some things up, because there's so many missing pieces, like Baldur's dialogue with you. It takes on a completely different meaning when you take the ending into context.
Yep.
Seeing, like we said before, phase, touch everywhere in the world. And also maybe, if this is your entry point in the franchise, like some of us here, and you want to go back and play the other games and then come back, there's lots of opportunities to do that. New Game Plus is really cool because there's a lot of actually new things that are in New Game Plus that are new equipment and armor and enchantments that you can't get in the regular game. It's the only way you can probably tolerate playing Give Me God of War.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But the hardest difficulty setting. But yeah, God of War is a masterpiece. Once again, yes, I was hooked. I could not stop playing this game. And that's saying a lot because when I started playing this game, I was also playing Star Wars, Jedi Fallen Order, another game I was hooked on. And I found it hard,
the same thing with
both
me.
of them. But I tried to, stick by, okay, let's finish Star Wars first, and then we'll do God of War. And once I got engrossed myself in that world, and there was no stopping me. And I honestly felt like I was reaching, the highest peak in all the 9 realms.
There you go.
It's a fucking great game. It's a masterpiece. Everybody should play it. I honestly think that because if you consider yourself a gamer at all,
right, this has to
it's
you
worth
have-
checking out.
It's absolutely worth checking out. It is beyond.
It's become a top 5 game for a lot of gamers. I know there's a lot of them, out there that I'm friends with that, they have those top 5s that they talk about and they recommend to people. I think this is one that people should recommend to their friends that are PlayStation gamers. Just like Horizon Zero Dawn, I recommend a lot of my friends play that, especially during quarantine. It's a big story. I think this is a great game to kind of take yourself out of, kind of tying up to the beginning of our podcast. It's a way to escape what's going on right now.
Escape the reality and just delve into this deep story that's really captivating and cultivating, and you can see the development of these characters that you've never seen before, honestly.
Yeah, it's its own pedestal of the game. And I definitely think it's packing a big punch. I think it's definitely underrated just because of the predecessors. And don't count out Kratos. This new Kratos is a great character.
He's a force to be reckoned with, for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Very worthy.
I'm surprised we didn't play it sooner when it came out.
Hey.
I'm on surprise.
He's worthy, right? I like how I almost forgot to mention this. The Leviathan axe mechanics.
A lot like Mjolnir.
Like Mjolnir. There needs to be a Thor game with the same, the same mechanic.
We'll see how worthy he is in the next one to see if he can pick up Mjolnir.
Oh, that could be cool.
There you go.
I don't know if that's a thing in Norse mythology, though.
Well, it is Ragnarok, and that's typically in most Norse mythology and readings. I mean, there might be some skew or different versions or methods or translations of it, but that's when he typically loses it, and we'll see how he loses it.
Yeah, that'd be really cool. I'm excited to see what this. There's definitely going to be a sequel, and I'm excited to see what's coming forward with Kratos and Atreus' adventures. So, I guess that's it, guys. So, be safe. Appreciate your friends and your family.
Yeah.
Catch up with us. Maintain your 6-foot distance. Practice your social distancing at home.
Wash your damn hands.
Wash your hands.
Don't hoard toilet paper.
Yeah. After you're done washing your hands, make sure you smash that like button and subscribe.
Well,
leave us a rating on Apple Podcasts.
Watch out for it, guys.
Interact.
We're definitely releasing a lot more content. We're excited.
Super stoked for the content that's coming out and coming forward into season 3, which is in the works. We're already beginning to talk about it, so we're already thinking of what games we want to have and what we want to talk about, and we're excited to share that with the rest of you. So have a happy quarantine, and that being said, I'm Ashley Chancellor.
I'm Dakota Chancellor.
I'm Megan Gardner.
And I'm Alan Gomez.
This is Collateral Gaming, and we are out.
is different, boy. This way, boy. Slow down, boy.
Boy. Boy, look at me. Look at me, boy. Boy.
Inside, boy.
Boy, beneath the floor.
Boy. Here. Boy.
Boy.
You are in your head, boy. And we will go home, boy. No place for a boy. Come, boy.
Now, boy.
Come, boy. Boy.
Boy. Boy. Boy. Wait for me, boy.
Boy. Boy. Boy. Come, boy. Stay back, boy. There are no good gods, boy. Not our concern, boy.
So how come Brock's blue and you're not?
Boy. What is it, boy?
Boy. Hold on, boy. Fight. Run, boy. Your knife, boy. Jump, boy. Keep shooting, boy. Boy. Mind your tongue, boy. Boy.
Boy. Come, boy. Boy.
Wait, boy.
Steady, boy. Boy, check their path. Make sure we're all alone.
Boy.
Leaving, boy. We are leaving, boy. Everybody taught you nothing, boy. 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 This fight is mine, boy. Stay behind me, boy. Calm yourself, boy.
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 The boy has fallen ill.
Boy. I'm a god, boy.
Collateral Gaming is an L Company production. All music and game clips are owned by their respective creators and are used for educational purposes only. Please don't sue us. We're poor.
Boy.